All right. Welcome, everyone, to our webinar for today. While we're waiting, we'll invite you to share in the chat where you're joining us from, and then what is that place that you're joining from known for? So like here in DC, we have the cherry blossoms, political dysfunction, and traffic. So mainly cherry blossoms is what we're marketing here. So let us know in the chat where you're coming from and what is your hometown or location you're joining us from known for. And we'll get started in a moment. Birthplace of recorded jazz, Richmond, Indiana. Okay. Fort Lauderdale spring break. Yeah, that's Green Bay, Wisconsin, the Packers.
Woohoo.
Somebody said Sarah Palin, so all right. Birthplace of the oil industry. Washington, D.C. bad sports teams, except for the Washington Spirit, the women's soccer team here. They do a great job. At least second or third place in the total. Dallas Cowboys training facility. That's fair. North Carolina Apple Festival. All right. Well, it's good to learn about where everyone's from. And as you go into those different seasons, whatever your festival is, I've seen maple syrup festivals. I've seen so many things sent to me. But we'll get started with today's webinar. So that's transforming chambers and associations through practical AI adoption. As a reminder, Institute is a CAE and CCE approved provider. This Institute webinar qualifies for 1 hour of CAE credit and 1 point of CCE credit. If you're present today, you may request a webinar certificate by emailing us at iom@uschamber after the webinar is concluded. Don't do it yet. Wait till it's done. Get ready and take your notes now. If you have any questions throughout, we invite you to ask them in the chat during the webinar. I will acknowledge them. We're going to use the chat as like a parking lot for questions, and keep those until the very end of the webinar today. So around the 1:50 mark, if you're on the Eastern Standard Time. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat, and I'll acknowledge them with a thumbs up just to know that I've got it on my queue. But now, our main event, Jeannie Sheehy. It's not me presenting, thank God. It's Jeannie Sheehy, is the Chief Marketing Officer for Bostrom, an agile-driven association management company offering outsourcing, consulting, and management to associations. Jeannie is a recognized expert in integrated communications, content strategy, association marketing, and digital transformation. Jeannie runs Bostrom's AI Council focused on upskilling teams to future-proof management services for global clients. In addition to her corporate marketing and business development roles at Bostrom, Jeannie serves as the past chair and strategic marketing advisor to the board of the AMC Institute. But I will pass it off to Jeannie, and she will delight us, and we'll get to know her more through her presentation.
Yes, you will. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to be here today to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is technology. But you're probably wondering, why is a marketing person talking about technology and AI adoption? Well, definitely a passion of mine, but I am a marketer at heart. I've been in Chicago for about 26 years and started here in technology. So I learned very early on enterprise content management. So the structure of data, which has lent itself incredibly valuable for me as a marketer to understand content, understand the systems that hold data and content and communications. So originally from Kansas City, Missouri, so I appreciated the jazz comment, certainly a jazz town, but have been a Chicagoan for quite a while. I took about 5 years at Second City Improv, which is an incredible experience. And if anyone comes to visit Chicago, please come see Second City, because it's a wonderful, wonderful entertainment, cultural study of what's going on in today's world. So I'm also a faculty member of the U.S. Chambers IOM and teach marketing and technology. And like I said, that's really my passion. I love the technology background that I was able to bring to running nonprofits, which Bostrom has done for over 90 some years. And, very involved in the industry and everything. But I really do love purpose-driven organizations. And I feel like chambers and associations are really the heart of communities around the globe. So love what I do. Today, we're going to talk through, not just awareness and AI, but the adoption of it, right? Everything that's happening in the world, but how do we truly focus our efforts, our training, our culture within our organizations for adoption? We're going to talk through use cases and prompting and a lot of material I'm going to blow through today, just understanding how you can integrate AI a little bit more and a little bit more responsibly, or bring some awareness to some of the efforts that you're already doing. And then, some other tools and other technologies and strategies for mission impact. First, everybody get out your phone. I know you have your phone. Most people do. If you don't, then that's wonderful that you put your phone away for this. But get out your phone, and on this QR code, you are going to go scroll down immediately, because you don't have to sign up for this. You're going to scroll down and continue as a guest. It's going to ask you your name, and then it's going to have this question. And in one or two words, just describe your view of AI right now and kind of what you're feeling, and um, your reaction to it, your thoughts about it, anything like that. Just type that in and put that in. It's like we've got one. So if you have technical difficulties with it, don't worry. This is just a fun little word cloud to do at the beginning and at the end. Um, Great, we're getting some. See if we can show those. Getting quite a few. Here we go. More coming in. Intimidating. Yep. Helpful. It should be popping up a little bit more. Overwhelming, life-changing, everyday user. Love it. Okay, it's a little slower than it normally is, so I'm just going to move on. But yes, we're all living in this world that can be life-changing, can be overwhelming, all of those things. And we'll take that at the end too, so keep your phones handy. But in this crazy world of AI that we're living in, there's five main companies. I always start these presentations out talking about humans, talking about us as humans, and what we need to know about, what we need to follow, the choices that we're making. So five leading companies that are really in charge of our AI destiny. And all of you have probably heard of them, some of you using some of these. And there are some that are off, that are worth mentioning too, in terms of Elon Musk's and what he's doing, and Grok and those kind of things. But these are the main tools that we're seeing and that are rapidly changing what we do. So I just kind of put this together to make sure everyone follows what is going on. There are new tools coming out every day. Some of these companies are thinking more responsibly about AI than others, and you'll see news stories about that. And I think it's upon all of us to keep in mind who these companies are, what their strategies, what their missions are. OpenAI, a supreme ruler in this, as well as Google and Anthropic and OpenAI going battle to battle on some things. Anthropic with Claude. I've leaned toward that a little bit more in recent days, recent months actually. But I use all of these. We have a Copilot test group here with the Microsoft, and they're very focused on your day to day, Meta and AI, and what they're doing with wearables. And, it's everywhere in our lives. So it's a matter of just understanding who these companies are, following them, and following the tools that they're giving us. Anthropic recently did a study. And they did this AI interviewer, and they found answers from 81,000 people across the globe and their thoughts about AI. That is the homepage of Anthropic right now. Any of you could go to that and look at this study. It is fascinating. They asked people, where is AI delivered on their vision? Productivity, of course, rose to the top, or it hasn't delivered. Cognitive partnership in the work that they do, learning, technical accessibility. Then they have notes on every one of what rose to the top and quotes about productivity. So the way that they did this survey and what they're talking about it is fascinating. They talked about what people worry about. What are the challenges that they're having? Misinformation, surveillance of privacy, all of those things. Another thing is what do they hope for, and professional excellence rose to the top in terms of their work. And then personal information, life management, time freedom. Um, they've done studies where they're finding that more and more people are doing more intensive work than what they were before. Not less, but it is freeing up time, but it's also freeing up more work on strategy. So I encourage all of you to look at this. What was also telling is around the globe is that the sentiment toward AI, you'd think the United States would have been above average, and it's not. It's kind of near average in terms of its sentiment. Blue is more of a negative sentiment, and green is a positive sentiment. And across the globe, you're seeing these pockets of people that are really truly grasping onto what the power of AI can be, and then people that are slower to adapt or concerned about where it's going. One CHT is an organization that I follow. I look at the videos from their founders. It's the Center for Humane Technology. And Tristan Harris he's been on the news, he's been on the circuit, really talking about what we all as humans need to understand about the technology and how we need to play a part in what is happening legislatively and in our communities. So that's kind of just the higher level, the powers that be that are running AI and that are building these incredible tools. And then the people that are really looking at how we're using them and how to keep it humane and positive in our society. So how do we embed this now? There's a lot coming at us. AI is a very powerful tool. It's making changes all the time. So as we look toward our own organizations, how do we embed it in a way that is safe and secure and that really delivers value to our members as chambers and associations and strengthens that trust? Transparency is really key. My last talk about human about human involvement in this in a way is I think any time that we are talking about technology, we are talking about the programs and the value that we're putting on, we have to come at it from a human-centered design frame of mind. And what does human-centered design mean? What is that framework? Behind everything, behind defining the purpose of our why, of who we are as an organization, and what are we delivering to our communities and to our members. If whether it's an event, whether it's a member benefit, having this framework in mind at all times is going to help you choose wisely when you come to the programs you deliver and the technology you're using to deliver them. So empathy first, always putting yourself into your members' shoes, into your customers' shoes, and understanding what is motivating them and what they need. Genuine connection, talking about building that trust, understanding, having those authentic and tough conversations, whether it's with your boards, whether it's with your members, attendees of an event, anything like that. Purpose-driven design, aligning everything you do with your why, aligning it with what you're trying to achieve with your chamber or your association, and then making any experience, whether it's online, through technology, whether it's at an event and in person, Create that environment where diverse perspectives are welcome, heard, and valued. So this framework is just something always to have in back of your mind as you're starting to use all of these tools. So we're going to dive into the adoption, right? We there's awareness, there's tons of stuff going out there, but true adoption of AI. Bostrom started a digital transformation task force back in 2017, and we surveyed all of our employees, and we found that there were 72 different software platforms. We have 60 employees. We're a small business. We run 30 associations. We inherit a lot of technologies, but 72 different software platforms. And we had all of this disruption coming at us with technology. This was before AI. Well, then, 3 years later, AI has hit it along with the pandemic and caused a lot of technology innovation to have to occur in our company. And we transformed our digital transformation task force into an AI council. And that AI council put together immediately the guidelines, policies, and procedures for our company and how we use, how we choose, and how we communicate the use of AI in our company. And we've been doing that now for 5.5 years. So, this adoption framework is really how we did it as a company, how we then took our association clients and worked with them on it, and everybody is on a different journey. So the things that, the techniques I'm going to talk about, the tactics that we did can all be adapted, knowing your strategy, your why in mind, having that in mind, but then using these and tailoring them to your organizations. So the four pillars that we put together are training and culture. We still have people today that refuse to use AI. It's hard to avoid, but we have a few. We have clients that refuse to use AI. And then we have those that are all in and using it every day and playing with code and these things that are just crazy as we talk through use cases in our company. We of course have use case and prompts, and now we're building a library of those and what those look like, and we'll talk more about those. The oversight framework, and this is where the training really came in. Yes, we have guidelines, and they say don't put this kind of content or PII into AI tools. Well, that only gets you so far, and we have new people coming into our company and new members, and so the content sensitivity levels and training on that was really key, which we'll talk more about. And of course, the selection of tools. So the first part was the confidence and training, the cultural shift of bringing these tools in, and how do we address the many different personalities that we have. So we had the skeptics that said they doubt it's worthwhile, it's going to take humankind out, it's going to do all horrible things, or it's never going to make my job easier. The anxious that worry about all of the stories out there and the job security. If I use it, is it gonna take my job? The curious that we had a lot of people in our company that were like, yeah, I mean, it looks like a cool technology and stuff, but they needed a different learning path. They needed step-by-step instruction. And then the early adopters, the marketing department, some of the program managers that were just all in and using it every day and bringing us new tools and asking questions about it. So, it ran the gamut of the people that we had to train and had to really open up how we were training them. So the common fears, and how we address them, AI will replace my job. It really hasn't. We haven't seen it yet. It replaced tasks. It automates some mundane things that employees didn't want to do anyway, and their roles have evolved and moved that routine work into something more strategic. They're afraid of making mistakes, and of course, creating psychological safety. We that is a big pillar in our cultural roadmap, making sure that people feel safe to experiment, that they come to the right people to ask questions, that we're open to sharing. And we do this through the AI Council. We do it through monthly tech dives, and learning and training paths, and a whole intranet that we set up in SharePoint about these tools and resources. Some people thought it would add to their workload, and so we had to kind of prove, well, this particular use case saved this, or they'll lose skills, that they'll stop thinking. And we said it needs more human oversight than ever. You're never going to stop thinking. So building that AI confidence, we thought about, okay, first of all, awareness and trust. knowing that we're all in this together. We do AI survey check-ins and we check on staff and how are they feeling and what are they concerned about. And we have teams and chat areas and channels, and we just really opened up a lot of different communication areas that we could talk to. Then we did hands-on stuff. We do prompt exercises. We do, like I said, a monthly mini tech dive every month, and it's mandatory, and it has quizzes at the end. And every employee has to sit in on these. And sometimes they're just about productivity and how do you manage your email, or it's about the new portal we did in SharePoint and where do you find everything. It's about using AI to translate materials for a conference that's being held in Puerto Rico. Some of our employees are just so excited about the use of it, and it's always a learning opportunity to have those discussions. And then integration, right? Embedding those into the client teams and their workflows, and then measuring and refining those as we go. And it does take a while, but you can start small and build upon that. And we'll talk a little bit more. So leadership's role, the people that are CEOs, executive directors, program directors, it really is, you have to buy into this as well. And you have to show, be transparent about how you're using it and what your safeguards are. Managers can hold one-on-one meetings. Boards, that's where you need full transparency and buy-in on the tools that you're using and how you're doing that. We'll talk about measuring that a little later. But let's dive into kind of the use cases and prompts. So if you look at areas in your organization, this is where at first we were asking people, hey, give us your use case. Hey, come on, try these tools, give us your use case. And it was really hard to get out of them. A lot of times they needed to be fed it. The training to say, this is the exact prompt you use. This is why you're doing it, the use case, and tell us how it worked or walk them through it. And so it really was a slow learning curve at first, about 3 years ago. And now we're getting major traction. We're getting all these innovative ideas and people excited about it. And people do have different learning curves. They're at different places on that curve. But taking a look at your organization, there's going to be use cases in governance, board packets and summaries and meeting minutes and bylaw comparisons. If you're updating your bylaws and the research that you're doing on the finance, there's many examples of that, especially our Copilot users, where it's a little bit more secure and locked down. And we'll talk about content sensitivity. On the marketing side, everything from creating campaigns and subject lines, testing, sponsorship proposals. How are we training our AI tools, our agents on our brand voice and our tone and our style? Canva has just, their AI integration is amazing. We've built brand systems inside of Canva because we have so many people doing marketing and social media and things like that, and we still want to control consistency of brand, which has allowed us to do that. Membership, of course, insights on members and how their sentiment and how do we win them back after they lapse, and what's the most ideal way to do a renewal campaign, and recruitment, where can we go out and find people that would be part of our organization. Advocacy, of course, use cases in policy briefs and position statements and research and putting action plans together, Hill visit plans, logistics, all of those things, which lead to events. Our meetings department, they've been doing a ton of training on the use of AI in terms of event design, in the logistics behind it, in menus, in sustainability. They use ChatGPT, but they also use Spark, a platform that they've been using through PCMA that's licensed. And it's for meeting planners and event planners. And it's been significant, the type of work that they can automate so they can really lean into what does that event experience need to look like. So prompt resources, I wanted to put some resources here, and you will get a PDF. Everyone registered for the webinar will get a copy of the PDF. So you don't have to take notes or anything, but these are resources where I really truly learned prompting, and I get hints of new AI tools every day from these resources. One is called AI Signal, and they've built this framework that you see to the left here, really making people think about their prompt before they get it in to get the best output you can. They talk about there's five areas to a prompt framework. Make sure the AI knows who's asking for this. If you haven't trained it already, put your role in. I'm a marketing director that is looking for what is the task? What's the exact output? The context? Who's the reader and the audience? The format? What are you truly looking for? I want a 3 email campaign that I'm going to design in Canva, or I'm going to put it in HubSpot. And then what to leave out and what never to do. So that I encourage everybody to go to AI Signal. It has a lot of helps for prompting. There's an AI for that. TAAFT. It was a newsletter that I think for at least 3 years I've been getting, and it's really overwhelming is a good word for this. It does give you a lot of all the new AI tools that are coming out, but it does allow me to kind of see where AI is going and to experiment with things every once in a while on new things that are coming out. But it also has news stories too, major news stories coming out of those top five that we talked about. Ricochet, right now, a group of us are going through their Association AI course and certificate, and they do a great job with training on AI. And of course, marketing profs from a marketing perspective, they're doing a lot with traditional marketing, with SEO, with where things are moving, with search, and really from a content strategy position. So some samples, right? When we talk about prompting, we talk about putting all of those things in there. But just to give a sense, depending on where you are in the AI journey, um, you want it to be very specific. You want to say who you are, that framework that I just mentioned. But examples are a 90-day, a renewal journey strategy, putting something like that in there. Um, Generating early warning indicators for members, writing a 5 email welcome sequence. There's so many examples, but specific for your organization, if you already have your marketing people doing prompts and everything, what we're encouraging is the ones that are outputting the best. You say they've gone through this whole thing and they've done a campaign and they've had success. We want to start documenting those, right? So put a shared document together where you're capturing these prompts. We actually did it in a spreadsheet, a Google sheet, where we have different tabs for every department. And that's where we're putting our use cases and the sample prompts that they did. So just starting to capture all of that is a great step. Other prompts, say it's advocacy. Draft a one-page policy brief, create a member action alert copy explaining why it matters, summarize a 30-page regulatory proposal. You'll see these sensitivity things, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that framework of what we consider low, medium, and high. On the marketing side, some other sample prompts, 3 distinct value propositions for our chamber and with different target markets, or 5 subject lines for a member recruitment campaign, sponsorship perspective introduction. And as you start to adopt these and use these more and more, you'll start to create more sophisticated prompts. And those are the ones that you want to capture. So you're not recreating the wheel every time. There's also many tools and techniques for training your AI tools to do these things for you. Um, but so I mentioned the sensitivity of content. So when we first did our guidelines, it was about don't ever put any client information into an AI tool ever. And of course, that's not realistic, and it certainly wasn't for marketing. It wasn't helpful. So we knew we couldn't do that. And by the surveys that we did, we knew people were already using ChatGPT. They were already using some of these tools, and it was really hard to lock that down. We're not a big company. We have one person in IT, everything else is on the cloud. And, we're relying on our IT partners for that security. And so we knew we were going to have to do some major training on this. We were going to have to teach our client teams on what is sensitive information, what isn't. And so that's when we started publishing these guides for associations. And in the 2.0 guide, we put this framework together. Um, and this can be customized for your chamber, for your association, depending on the type of content you have. So, in general, we did 4 levels of sensitivity and we color coded them. And at the end of the webinar, there's a QR code that you can download the AI guide, and it will give you the framework for this that you could adapt to your organization. But it really was for training and for identifying when what do I use in an AI tool and what can't I? So level sensitivity, 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's low sensitivity, that's public information you're putting in or content that's, routine or, a social media from something else that's already been approved. So it's a thing that you do by rote that happens every day. Medium sensitivity has to have some sort of subject matter expert or a manager look at it or some approval process. So it's medium sensitivity. High sensitivity, there might be quotes, there might be position statements, things that really have to have executive time frame. And then critical, which is maximum oversight, which is probably something that should never go into an AI tool or without a lot of review, maybe by legal, maybe by the board. So those are the things, the levels that your team should know about to really get them to understand, what do these sensitivities look like and how do I adapt to them? So the framework, you can put the content type in. What's your standard content type that you have every day? What's the function of it? Who's using it? What level is it? What reviewers are required? And the timeline it usually takes. So building something like this for your own organization, at first it takes time to do and really think through. But once you have this in place, it's so easy to put in front of new employees and to have, at your desk or something you can reference really easily while you're using these tools. So we created that. We also created red flags and a list of these are the things that never ever ever go into an AI tool. They are high sensitivity. And your list would be different, right? And our lists are different for every client too, because they all have different, some of them have certification exams and tests and things like that. So it's just varying levels within your organization depending on the programs that you do. So I thought it would be fun to kind of go through a couple of sensitivity levels and see if we can guess what sensitivity level it is. Let's see if I can get my view of the chat again. Whoops. The first one, your marketing team uses AI to draft a press release announcing a new member benefit. The draft includes quotes from leadership and details about pricing changes, but it still needs review before going public. So, what level sensitivity? Low, medium, high, 1, 2, 3, or 4, however you want to answer that, if you can remember those. Um, do you think that that is?
We've got level 3, medium, level 3, 3, 3. Some people might just be taking other people's answers here, but
Well, they're smart. They're
that's
smart because they're right. It is 3. It is a medium level. You've got a quote from leadership. You're definitely going to need some eyes on that and approval. All right, second one. You summarize a 40-page state budget bill into a 1-page brief for your members. You focus it on provisions affecting small business owners, including tax changes, regulatory updates, and funding for workforce programs. What do you think that one is? Okay, I see some 2s and 3s. 1, 3, 4, low. It's a level 2. It's a level 2. It's public information that you're putting in there. You could go low to medium, kind of depending on if there was a position that you were taking on it. But if it's just taking something that's already out there, condensing it down for your members, um, I would say a level 2. Again, this is going to be different for everybody, but in general, how about this one? You put 5 years of financials into an AI tool to do a full analysis and dashboard for an upcoming committee meeting. What's that one? Yep. That's
Varying
a
degrees of
high.
capitalization on high there.
Yeah. That is a high, probably never do that, depending on how locked down your AI tool is, for sure. So good job. And I think this is the last one. Your executive director needs talking points by tomorrow for a committee hearing on minimum wage. What sensitivity level applies and who needs to approve that? I'm sure we've all been asked for talking points for somebody. Level two in the ED level. Yeah, I'd say medium, like a level three. It's definitely going to require that executive director to approve that. So good job, everybody. That was great. Was great. So the last part of this is all these tools that are coming at us and how are we thinking about technology and partners that we're working with and what are we training on. A lot of times, it's when we're choosing our technology systems, you want to think about what is that, where do you want to get that ecosystem? What do you want it to look like? And again, I'm going to go back to why. I'm going to go back to human-centered design. And there's so many things coming at us, but it really is about focusing on the true partners that are building AI guardrails and tools that really align to your organization's mission, that aligns to the value you want and experiences you want to deliver. So there are internal or custom solutions. I was talking, I think it was yesterday, on a call for the IOM program curriculum, and there was one member of our team, a program manager, that she had a little bit of Python coding training in college years ago, and she was just like, there was an automated task in the AMS, the Association Management System that we use, and it wasn't doing, she had to manually input things for whatever reason, and she needed a workaround. And she had Claude, she had a paid instance of Claude, and she had Claude do the coding for her. And she put it into a Windows a window. Um, she made sure that it was secure when she logged into the AMS, and she ran the code and she tweaked it and tested it about 3 or 4 times and told us she was doing this. So we had our IT guy, help her with it and make sure. But she saved herself probably 16 hours a month of work every month that she was having to do this. And we just, completely encouraged her and celebrated her and talked to her about, okay, what other ideas do you have? This was wonderful. And that kind of thing had a cultural element to it, but it also had a very practical use case workaround automated task. So those internal things, you don't have to be a coder per se to get those done, but a lot of people are using their AI consultants or IT consultants to help them with some of those things. But grabbing those stories out of your organization as to what is an automated task that you hate doing every week, that you want to do something different, and that you would love to just have it done for you. And those are the things that we're trying to get out of our staff and slowly being able to do that by building that culture. So there's building, there's buying. There's a lot of, we bought everybody a license for ChatGPT. We have a subset on Copilot, the people that really use the documents within the SharePoint system and highly, highly client-focused teams. They need security. They need that content locked down. But they're heavy users of Excel and Word and PowerPoint. And they've done incredible work with Copilot. So there's commercial tools available. A lot of you might be Google shops and really leaning into Gemini. And there was a brand new tool that came out called Canvas in Gemini to build a whole workspace within Chrome, and just amazing things that they're doing. But choose one or two and lock it down, license it, and train on it. and learn from it. And I have a feeling that, we have everyone on ChatGPT, we have Copilot, and now we have a subset on Claude. We have the marketing team on Canva. So I have a feeling these things are going to be different for different people and different departments. But overall, we do these check-in surveys all the time about what are they using, what are they getting out of it, what are they learning, and it is going to morph. And they're annual licenses, so they come up for renewal, and we reassess and continue to do that. There's partners out there like consultants and service providers that are really leaning into helping organizations, small businesses, medium size, large, of course, with their AI strategies. And then the mix of all three, how are we building stuff internally safely and securely, um, and building that environment so people come to us with ideas. So it comes from different areas. So in terms of the partnership, there's going to be general purpose AI platforms that I just talked about, right? The AI systems that handle a wide range of tasks. There's going to be integration layers with AI. These are things that, whether it's a CRM you have or an AMS that you have, that AI features are already being integrated into them. We use Monday.com for our project management across the board. And so Monday.com, they have brand new AI integration, and new stuff is coming out every day. And we have credits within our license. So we really had to take a step back, and we had to say, okay, what are these AI tools? What does it mean to the boards and all of the information we've put in Monday.com? How do we train for it? How do we license it within our budget? And so, thinking through that integration layer, whether it's something that you need to integrate with different systems, or integration that's being built and coming out every day on these new platforms. And then there might be chamber focused or association focused solutions. And these are players that are coming to the market, that are able to code quickly and do things for certain segments that you could be on the lookout for. So there will be consolidation within these tools and these platforms. We see a lot of that within the technology space and always have. The specialized solutions, really looking for those. Um, these AI tools, and a lot of these enterprise systems that we thought were way too expensive for us to use, are going to be able to decrease their price. They are decreasing their workforce, and they're decreasing the coding time to get new tools out. So, I want to stay abreast of what are platforms like Salesforce doing, and HubSpot, and things that we couldn't afford. Well, maybe they will come down, and we want to look at that. And then, of course, regulation. And this is the Center for Humane Technology, and one of their big mission objectives, is AI governance and staying on top of that. And we stay on top of what are the lawsuits that are boiling up in terms of associations that are getting sued, or boards that are getting sued, or chambers that are getting sued, and that's where you can look to your trade organization or your professional societies that are doing a lot of that advocacy work, that to really monitor that and understand what is going on in the world with AI regulation. So measuring success. So how do we know that these training, this adoption, these four pillars that we've talked about, how do we know that we're making an impact? It's been really tough. Like, my vision 3 years ago was building use cases and measuring productivity and efficiency saves, and putting a dollar amount to that. And we never were able to do that. We are just now getting to more sophisticated logging of our use cases and the exact prompts. And over time, I think we will be able to see, with employee satisfaction, with the ability to do more work. Maybe we can bring on a new client without having to hire as many people as we used to, but the work has changed more so than the amount of people doing it, and really making our services more valuable to the members, our association clients and their members. So what are those indicators? So we have mandatory mini tech dive training. How many people are going to it? We monitor that, making sure that they're listening to these webinars. Active tool usage. We monitor how many people have licenses, how are they using them, what have they learned from them, our prompt library contributions, which are much higher than they used to be. And then, weekly AI users and what percentage. There's another company out there that tracks, they make everybody put their tasks in Outlook, Microsoft Outlook, and they are tracking all of that to see productivity levels on the number of tasks they're able to do with the use of AI tools that they have licensed and trained on. And that's been enlightening too. They found that younger people are, they do use the tools, but they really want more interaction. They want more guidance. They want more human oversight and management. So it's different, and I think we're all learning about these different things. I can't see us tracking tasks ever, but getting the use cases and the prompts would be great. Impact measures, how many hours saved per week or what tasks are we automating? I think that's more key than hours saved because I just don't think we're saving hours. I think we are changing what we're doing in the hours that we have. Um, and then mission outcomes, how are we aligning the productivity and the more valuable work that we're able to do? How do we align that to mission impact, to whether it's growth, revenue growth, program growth, membership growth, whatever those things are, your KPIs are we contributing to that through all of these tools? So kind of in practical ways to, because it does seem daunting, the four frameworks and all of these things that are, that we can do. It takes time, it takes planning, and take it one at a time. So I thought, if I was going to put together a roadmap today, I would start with one function or one department and dive into that and kind of what's the content, what's the sensitivity framework, what are the use cases and prompts, address the fears that are happening, give some examples like what one thing have you created, and then what was the tool or partner that you worked with to do that. And if you took it one department at a time, one area at a time, you really could start an adoption framework for your own organization that isn't too daunting. And it just depends on where you are. So this is a QR code to download. This is the AI guide that has the content sensitivity framework. It has use cases and prompts. Um, it was written in January of 2025. Was it this January? Oh my gosh, I just forgot. It was at January 2026, sorry. Or 2025, sorry. And so things have come a long way since then, but it might give you some framework and some use case ideas and things like that that you could use. And again, this is we'll have a PDF of this for everyone. So I do want to do a last minute QR code check with your phone. Let's try this again and see what this looks like now, if any of your views have changed. So go to the QR code, go in as a guest, and in one or two words, it could be the same word if it's the same, um, whatever that is.
And if it's not working, maybe
Oh,
put
was it
them in the
not?
chat. Maybe just,
Yeah,
if
put them
they,
in the chat. That might be easier.
some of you might come away with the same words.
Hopeful. I love that. Still overwhelming. Absolutely. Absolutely. Essential opportunity, enhancing humans. Yeah, that's what it should do for sure. Exciting. It is exciting. It is. As scary as it is exciting, the power that it has and what it can do for the areas that we all work in, whether it's healthcare, whether it's our communities, whether it's small business and medium business success, whether it's association work, nonprofit work, foundations and charities. Yeah, worrying about dependency, that's real for sure. Um, and like I said, it is, there it really people are on different points of that journey for sure on how they use it. Um, and what we've learned, and people still refuse. So, and that's okay. We have clients that say absolutely no AI. and we have to respect that and abide by that. So, um, if people are really running the gamut these days, and we're all learning, and yeah, building blocks for sure, revolutionary, comfortable, love it, and hopeful, great potential, game changing. That's great. Awesome. All right. So from that, I'm going to thank everybody. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and thank everybody for joining this, and see if we have any questions.
We had one from earlier that I want to bring up while other people are putting their questions in the chat. Where is the AI getting the information to summarize the chamber/association position on issue X? How do we ensure it doesn't just make up stuff?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, human oversight on this is incredible. When I was writing a paper and I was using Claude, and it cited some statistics on something, and I questioned one of them, and I was like, I want to know all of your sources for these. And then I checked the sources, and one of them it said, well, I don't have a source for that. I mean, this actually came out of Claude. I don't have a source for this, but from sentiment and everything I can gather, I'm just guessing it's 20%. And I was just like, oh, no, you have to read every word that these tools are outputting. You really do have to double check and triple check. And as much as that seems like, well, it's not really saving me time, it does save a ton of time to get a draft done. But the human oversight part of it, depending on what kind of content it is, check sources, check stats, really understand where it's getting the information and if you agree with it, and then putting your own lens on it in terms of accessibility and inclusiveness and DEI and all of those things.
And then would you recommend, just generally based off what you talked about, including like if the chamber has already made like documents and things like that, uploading those as potential sources as well to get the
Yeah,
chamber's message or association's message?
yeah, absolutely. And that kind of goes to that sophisticated prompting, right? You want to put in the relevant information. I love projects
Hmm.
within ChatGPT and Claude, where you're building a project and these are your reference documents. This is what I'm trying to do. This is who I am in the audience. That's where I think we can see a lot of power from the tools.
Specifically for membership, what platform would you recommend?
For membership,
It's
like
yeah,
an
just so
AMS,
specifically for membership.
oh, an AI platform for
I
membership.
I believe so.
Okay.
That's all the
Well, I
context
think
I have for the question.
okay. I'm going to assume it's maybe from an AI tool for membership. ChatGPT does a really good job of campaign development, copy development. Um, if you're doing analysis, uh, things from your database, sentiment, or more analysis and structure, Copilot does a really good job of looking at member data and giving you insights from it. Even gathering survey results and building something from that you can communicate to your board or you communicate to your marketing department. Copilot is very strong when you have great uh, internal and guarded documents, things like that. ChatGPT from a marketing perspective is wonderful. So is Canva, um, in terms of building campaigns and uh, subject lines and things like that.
Any further questions for Jeannie?
Projects are the holy grail. I love that. I
Yeah,
love projects.
yeah.
They definitely, you can build a lot of context around them. So, and I do encourage you, so that resource is a brand new resource slide that I did this morning, just to stay on top of things. Even if you just skim those newsletters, they've been really helpful. Notebook LM is wonderful. I took the guide, the AI 2.0 guide, I put it into Google Notebook and I said, give me a 15-minute podcast about this guide. And it was two people conversationally talking to each other about the guide and what it is and what's in it. And then we just posted that to social, and was done. It does amazing training program guides too.
All right, we will go ahead and call it for today. As for the recording and everything, recording and all the materials that Jeannie is going to provide to us will be added to our website within the week. It'll be posted to our YouTube channel first, and then directed over to our website. So, subscribe on YouTube if you want to get the latest and have this as a future reference. It was Notebook LM, Beth. And then so go ahead and send in your webinar request certificates to get your CAE or CCE approved provider to get that 1 hour of CAE credit or 1 point of CCE credit. If you were present today for the whole webinar, just email iom@uschamber.com. But the recording will be added to the website by the end of the week. Thank you, Jeannie, for everything, and thank you all for
You're
attending.
welcome. Thanks, everybody.